When you put $1 into a bank account, you assume you have the right to take it out whenever you want. That immediate access to your cash is the core foundation of our entire financial system. But right now, at some of the largest investment firms on the planet, giants like Apollo and Blue Owl, that foundation is cracking. They are telling their clients no. They are triggering what the industry calls redemption gates. Essentially, they are legally locking the exit doors from the inside, trapping billions of dollars of investor cash so it cannot be withdrawn. These freezes are intentional, structural responses to market pressure, serving as a blaring warning sign for a multi-trillion-dollar sector that used to promise total liquidity. These locked doors represent the first visible cracks in a hidden lending machine that is beginning to buckle under its own immense weight. To understand what is failing, we have to look back at the heart of traditional Wall Street. After the collapse of 2008, regulators passed strict rules limiting the highly leveraged, high-risk loans that traditional, federally backed banks were allowed to make. But the demand for that risky debt didn't vanish. Instead of walking out the front door, the borrowers just walked down the hall and into a private back room, completely out of sight. This chart shows how that back room operates. On the left is the highly regulated banking sector, surrounded by capital requirements. On the right is a shadow lending market known as private credit, where private equity firms loan directly to companies with virtually zero government oversight. By taking on the high-risk debts that traditional banks were legally banned from touching, private credit ballooned into a $1.7 trillion industry. The strict rules designed to keep the banking system safe didn't eliminate the systemic risk. They simply pushed it into the dark, into a shadow market where regulators can no longer easily track it. Because software companies often lack physical assets like factories or land to use as collateral, they rely almost entirely on future revenue projections to secure loans, a dependency that makes the commercial software sector the absolute weakest link in this unregulated market. This creates a mechanism of circular risk. Tech company X borrows cash from a private credit fund to buy tech company Y, which is already owned by that exact same fund. The same dollar cycles in a circle, artificially inflating valuations without creating new revenue. The moment broad tech valuations start to drop, that circle breaks. The assets look overvalued, the debt looks unpayable, and the original investors in that private credit fund immediately rush for the exit. Facing a sudden drain on their reserves, the fund managers deploy those redemption gates to forcibly lock the remaining capital inside and halt the run. However, the instant a manager refuses to give investors their money, they provide the market with proof that the fund is in trouble. The gate guarantees a total freeze, as every remaining investor lines up to demand their cash the second the doors reopen. Researching these hidden financial mechanics takes a significant amount of time. If you find this deep reporting valuable, subscribing is the best way to support the channel's ability to analyze the systems that affect your money. By trying to trap the cash, fund managers destroy investor confidence. The safety mechanism itself triggers a shadow bank run. Wall Street operates on the cockroach theory. If one massive fund is freezing withdrawals in broad daylight, hundreds of other localized debt crises are likely happening off the radar. These crises are often masked by off-balance sheet liabilities, debts purposefully structured through shell companies so they don't appear on official records. In some corners of private credit, managers engage in double collateral fraud, where a borrower takes the same underlying asset and secretly pledges it to secure multiple different loans simultaneously. It is a common assumption that when this bubble pops, it will only impact billionaire investors and hedge fund managers. In reality, global pension funds have quietly poured billions of dollars of everyday workers' retirement money into these exact private credit traps in a search for higher returns. Looking at the history of market failures, we can see that the danger is already deeply embedded in the system's infrastructure. The shadow banking industry has hardwired its toxic, locked debt directly into the everyday retirement savings of the public, ensuring the consequences of a collapse reach far beyond Wall Street. While we cannot control the private credit market, we have absolute control over our own liquidity. This comparison matrix shows a safe alternative for parking cash. Short-term Treasury ETFs like SGOV or USFR hold short-term government debt instead of risky corporate loans. These funds keep your cash 100% liquid, allowing you to move your money on any trading day. They generate enough yield to beat inflation and exist entirely outside the shadow banking system. To protect your savings, pull the prospectuses for your 401k or index funds and look for any allocation to alternative assets. Identifying these hidden links to private credit is the first step in stress testing your own portfolio. Dedicate 1 hour every week to a money hour, a habit focused entirely on reviewing personal liquidity and rebalancing your cash into accessible, transparent assets. Financial survival is built on establishing strict liquidity rules, staying vigilant, and ensuring no institution has the power to lock the door on your money.